Hi, it's me again, Trishiliano, and welcome back to our complete AutoCAD training course for 2D and 3D. And for today's lesson, lesson 15, we're going to discuss the guidelines in making layers. Last time we have input these layers in AutoCAD. Now we will do these guidelines for this figure. Okay, for this figure. Okay. Now we will open the previous file which we have saved our layers. Okay, now we're gonna select the layer G guide LN to become our current layer. Now let's draw the guidelines from the figure. Okay, and then we're gonna use construction lines in making guidelines. So type XL in our command line, XL, enter. And then before we specify a point, type V first to make the lines vertical. So V, then enter. Now we're gonna specify through point. So click here as our reference extraction lines. Okay. So based from our figure, we need to offset this line. So this is our, okay, it's kinda malabo. So let's offset this line. So from this line going to the right, it is 0.8 meters. Okay, so we're gonna offset this uh, construction line by 0.8 meters. So we need to type O for offset, then enter, and then input 0.8 for our offset distance. So type 0.8, then enter, and then we select the object that we want to offset and point it to the side that we want it to be offset. So we're gonna click on the right side. So okay, so we have the distance 0.8. Now let's go back to our figure, and from this line, the distance going to the line on the left or the right is 1.2 meters. So we're gonna offset again this construction line, but this time we're gonna use 1.2 offset distance. Okay, so offset, we're gonna input offset distance, which is 1.2, then enter, and then we select the object that we want to offset and click it on the right side. Okay. Okay, so from the last object that we have made, so this is the object, the distance now is 3 going to the next line. So our offset distance will be 3. Okay, so offset again, and then we input 3 as our offset distance, and then we select the object that we want to offset and click on the right side. Again, let's look at the figure. So from this line going to the line on the right side, we have distance 3 meters. So again, since our distance is already 3, so we can select this object to offset by 3. Okay. And then our next distance is from this line going to the right is 2.5. Okay, so we need to change the offset distance. So type O again, or just press enter. And then offset distance is 2.5. Then enter. Then we're going to select the offset. We're gonna select this object to offset. And then we're gonna click on the right side. As you can see, we have here distance 2.5. And for our last line, it is not shown in the figure, but let's assume that from this line up to this line, the distance is 1.5. So we repeat the previous method. So offset, and then we're gonna input 1.5 for the offset distance. And then we select the object that we want to offset and click on the right side. Okay. We are done now with the vertical construction lines, vertical guidelines. Now we will draw the horizontal lines. Okay, so type XL again to make our construction line. And before we specify our point, let's type H, enter to make the construction lines horizontal. Now we're gonna make a horizontal construction lines. Then specify through point, let's say here. And then let's go back to the figure. So from this figure, going to from this line, property line going downward, it is not specified. So let's assume again that it's 0.8, the same as the first line earlier. So type O for offset, and then offset distance we will put input 0.8, and then we select the object that we want to input, or that we want to offset, and then we click downward, no? Okay, and then from here up to down here, this line, the building line, let's assume again that is 1.2, the same as the vertical distance earlier. So we will offset it again by distance. Offset distance is 1.2 meters. And then we select the object that we want to offset and click it downward. Okay, for our next line, okay, it is kinda. So we have distance 3 meters from this building line up to this, down to this line. So we have distance 3. Okay, so we offset again, and then we're going to input 3 for our offset distance, and then we select the object that we want to offset, click it downward. Okay, so our next distance is 1.75. Okay, so we repeat this the previous method. So offset, and then we input 1.75 for offset distance, then enter, and then we select the object to offset, select this line, and then click downward. That is the point, or the side to offset. Since we have the same distance here in the CAD, we can offset it again because our default is 1.75. The offset distance default is 1.75. Okay, so from this figure, going to the next building line is 3.5. So we're gonna offset again, but this time our offset distance is 3.5 meters. And then we select the object that we want to offset and click it downward. And for our these lines, they are not indicated again. So let's assume that they are 1.2, both of them. From this line, building line going to the broken lines, let's assume that is 1.2. So offset again, and then we input 1.2 for our offset distance, and then we select the object that we want to offset. So select this line and then click downward, and then because we have the same offset distance, just click this line again, the last line that we have made, and then click it downward. So it is already offset by 1.2. Okay, so now we are done with the offsetting. Next is to trim all the extra lines. Okay, so how do we trim this? So type TR in our command line, then press enter. And then we have this option, select all, so enter again. And then now we're gonna select all the lines that we want to trim. Okay, so I will just select these sides. Now all the lines have been trimmed, and these are now our guidelines. And don't forget to save it. So how to save it? Click the AutoCAD icon and select save. Okay. Okay, that's all for today's lesson. That is all about making guidelines in our layer, which is named guidelines. So thank you for watching.